Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving deep into a timeless tale of adventure, magic and destiny from the classic 1001 Nights. Get ready for the enchanting story of Aladdin and the magic lamp. Our story begins in a bustling, ancient city in a faraway land. Here lived a young boy named Aladdin. Now, Aladdin wasn't a prince or a merchant's son. He was quite poor, living with his widowed mother. He was a clever and spirited lad, but often spent his days playing in the streets, getting into harmless mischief instead of learning a trade. One day, as Aladdin was playing in the marketplace, a mysterious stranger approached him. The man was dressed in fine robes and had a long, dark beard. He introduced himself as a wealthy merchant from a distant country and, to Aladdin's surprise, claimed to be his long-lost uncle. Aladdin, having never known his father's family, was a bit skeptical but also intrigued. The stranger was incredibly charming. He bought Aladdin new clothes and treated him to a delicious feast. He told grand stories of his travels and promised to make Aladdin a wealthy merchant himself. Aladdin's mother was overjoyed at this sudden turn of fortune, believing her late husband's brother had finally come to care for them. She trusted the man completely and allowed Aladdin to go with him the next day on a business trip. The next morning, the man led Aladdin far out of the city, through quiet fields and into the rocky hills beyond. Aladdin started to feel uneasy. This didn't seem like a business trip. They walked for hours until they reached a desolate spot between two mountains. "We are here," the stranger announced, his friendly demeanor vanishing. He was not Aladdin's uncle at all. He was a wicked sorcerer from the Maghreb, and he needed Aladdin's help for a very specific, dangerous task. The sorcerer began to chant strange words and threw a powder into a fire he had built. The ground trembled violently, and a thick cloud of smoke billowed up. When it cleared, a square flat stone with a brass ring in the middle was revealed in the earth. The sorcerer pointed at the ring. "Only you, a boy of pure heart and humble spirit, can open this," he commanded. "Underneath this stone lies a great treasure that will make you richer than kings. All you must do is go down and bring me an old oil lamp you will find there. You may take any of the gold and jewels you find for yourself, but the lamp is for me." Terrified but also tempted by the promise of riches, Aladdin grabbed the ring and pulled with all his might. The stone lifted, revealing a dark, steep staircase leading down into the earth. The sorcerer gave Aladdin a magic ring, telling him it would protect him from harm. "Go now," he urged, "and do not forget my lamp." Aladdin descended the steps into the darkness. At the bottom, he found himself in a magnificent cavern. The first chamber was filled with chests overflowing with gold coins. He walked past them and entered a second cavern, which was a garden unlike any he had ever seen. The trees were not laden with ordinary fruit. Instead, they sparkled with jewels of every color imaginable. There were red rubies, green emeralds, blue sapphires, and brilliant diamonds, all gleaming in the faint light. For a moment, Aladdin forgot his mission. He began stuffing his pockets with the glittering fruits, marveling at their beauty. Finally, he remembered the lamp. He walked to the very end of the garden and saw it just as the sorcerer had described, sitting on a small ledge, looking dusty and unremarkable. It was just an old, tarnished oil lamp. He grabbed the lamp, put it in his satchel, and turned to leave, his pockets heavy with jewels. When he reached the bottom of the stairs, he called up to the sorcerer, "I have the lamp. Help me out." The sorcerer shouted back, "Give me the lamp first." Aladdin was suspicious. He was in a narrow passage and worried that if he handed over the lamp, the sorcerer would seal the entrance and leave him trapped. "I can't," Aladdin replied. "It's stuck under the jewels. Help me out, and I will give it to you." The sorcerer flew into a rage. He had no intention of helping Aladdin out. His only goal was to get the lamp. Realizing his plan had failed, he shouted a magical curse, and the heavy stone slab slammed shut, plunging Aladdin into total darkness. He was trapped. Aladdin cried out for help, but there was no answer. He was alone in the cold, dark cavern. Desperate and terrified, he sat down and began to weep. As he wrung his hands in despair, he accidentally rubbed the ring the sorcerer had given him. Instantly, a huge, imposing figure materialized before him in a puff of smoke. It was a genie. "I am the slave of the ring," the genie boomed. "What is your command?" Aladdin was stunned speechless for a moment, then stammered, "Whoever you are, get me out of this horrible place." No sooner had he spoken the words than he found himself back on the hillside, blinking in the bright sunlight. The cavern entrance was gone, as if it had never existed. Shaken but overjoyed to be free, Aladdin ran all the way home. He told his mother everything that had happened. They were both relieved he was safe, but they were still poor, and now they had no food. Aladdin remembered the old lamp he had brought back. "Perhaps we can sell this for a bit of money," he said to his mother. "It's quite dirty, though. Let me clean it first." Aladdin took a cloth and began to rub the dusty lamp. Suddenly, the whole room shook, and an even more enormous, more powerful genie than the first appeared in a cloud of thick, swirling smoke. This genie was a giant, his voice like thunder. "I am the slave of the lamp," he bellowed. "What is your wish, my master?" Aladdin's mother fainted from shock, but Aladdin, having already met one genie, was a little less terrified. Trembling, he said, I am hungry. Bring us something to eat." The genie vanished and reappeared a second later with a magnificent feast laid out on solid silver platters. Enough food to last for days. This was the beginning of a new life for Aladdin and his mother. Whenever they needed something, Aladdin would simply rub the lamp, and the powerful genie would provide it. He didn't ask for palaces or mountains of gold right away. He was smart. He asked for food, then for money to start a small business. And he slowly and carefully improved their lives, never drawing too much attention. He also sold the silver platters one by one, providing them with a steady income. One day, Aladdin caught a glimpse of the Sultan's daughter, the Princess Badroulbadour, and was instantly captivated by her beauty. He fell deeply in love and was determined to marry her. He told his mother of his plan. She thought he was crazy. A poor boy like you marrying a princess. It's impossible, she said. But Aladdin had the genie of the lamp. He had his mother go to the Sultan's palace not with gold, but with a gift of the jewel fruits he had taken from the magic garden, presented in a fine porcelain bowl. When the Sultan saw the jewels, larger and more perfect than any in his own treasury, he was astounded. He was intrigued by this mysterious suitor. However, he had already promised the princess to his vizier's son. He set an impossible condition. Tell your son he can marry the princess if he sends me 40 golden basins, carried by 40 servants, each filled to the brim with the same kind of jewels. For anyone else, this would have been impossible. For Aladdin, it was a simple request for the genie. The very next day, a magnificent procession arrived at the palace, exactly as the Sultan had demanded. The Sultan was so impressed he immediately agreed to the marriage. With the genie's help, Aladdin built a palace more splendid than the Sultan's own, right across from it, overnight. He arrived for his wedding dressed as a prince, riding a fine horse, with servants scattering gold coins to the people. He married Princess Badroulbadour, and they were incredibly happy. Aladdin was a kind and generous husband and ruler, and the people loved him. But the story doesn't end there. Far away, the wicked sorcerer used his dark arts to discover that Aladdin had not only escaped the cave, but was now living as a prince with the magic lamp. Consumed by jealousy and revenge, he traveled back to Aladdin's city. He disguised himself as an old merchant, walking through the streets and crying out, "New lamps for old! New lamps for old!" Princess Badroulbadour heard the cry from the palace. She remembered seeing Aladdin's plain old oil lamp sitting on a shelf, thinking it was just a worthless trinket. And wanting to surprise Aladdin with a shiny new one, she traded the magic lamp to the sorcerer for a brand new, polished one. The moment the sorcerer had the lamp in his hands, he rubbed it. The genie appeared. "Take this palace, the princess, and everything in it, and transport us all to the most remote part of my homeland in Africa," he commanded. In an instant, the beautiful palace vanished, leaving behind an empty plot of land. When the Sultan saw his daughter's palace was gone, he was furious. He blamed Aladdin and threatened to have him executed. Aladdin begged for 40 days to find the princess. Heartbroken, he wandered the land in despair. Almost giving up hope, he once again twisted the magic ring on his finger. The smaller genie of the ring appeared. "I cannot undo a spell by the genie of the lamp," the ring genie explained, "but I can transport you to wherever the palace is." Instantly, Aladdin found himself in Africa, outside his own palace. He joyfully reunited with Princess Badroulbadour. Together, they hatched a plan. The princess invited the sorcerer to dinner, pretending to have accepted her fate. She treated him kindly and, following Aladdin's instructions, slipped a powerful sleeping potion into his drink. The sorcerer drank it and fell into a deep, unending sleep. Aladdin took back the magic lamp, he rubbed it, and the mighty genie appeared, overjoyed to see his true master. "Take us and the palace back to our home," Aladdin commanded. In a flash, they were back in their city, right where they belonged. The Sultan was overjoyed, and the entire kingdom celebrated. Aladdin, now wiser and more careful, kept the lamp safe, using its power not for extravagant wealth, but for the good of his people. He and Princess Badroulbadour lived a long, happy, and prosperous life, ruling with kindness and wisdom. And that is the incredible story of Aladdin. It's a tale that shows us that true wealth isn't just gold and jewels, but courage, love, and a kind heart. Even when things seem darkest, a little bit of hope and maybe a little bit of magic can change everything. Thank you so much for joining me on this magical journey today. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another adventure. Let us know in the comments what story you'd like to hear next. Until then, stay curious and keep dreaming. Bye for now.